Hi, and welcome to another edition of Danny Brown Talks Phoenix. As always, I am your host, Danny Brown, and today I am joined by my good friend, Cyrus Hosain, who is on the board of Phoenix Children's Hospital. Welcome to the show, Cyrus. Appreciate you coming out.
Thanks, Danny. I want to make a correction. I'm on the board of a charity that benefits Phoenix Children's Hospital.
Oh, my mistake.
I don't want people at PCH calling me.
Okay, good to know. So why don't you tell us then a little bit about what you do and a little bit about Phoenix Children's Hospital?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. So I'm on the board of a charity that benefits PCH, and it's called Children's Fight for Life. This is my 10th year on it.
Wow.
Charity's been around for about 13 years. This is the 13th annual sort of effort. And I got involved because I was a community volunteer at PCH. And someone reached out to me, the chairwoman of the charity reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. And they needed some new blood and sort of a fresh face to sort of bring some new ideas. And I jumped on it. I said, yeah, and I've been a part of it ever since. So yeah, it's been a decade.
Wow, that's a long time to really do anything.
Yeah, we've raised over $1 million for pediatric cancer. 100% of the funds go directly to the hospital. We can sort of allocate and direct every dollar exactly where we want it to go. So we pick the cancer center, and we can direct percentages to research and percentages to help families as well. So it's one of the reasons I got involved, is because unlike other charities out there, we don't take a salary, we don't take a cut from it. 100% of all the profits goes directly to where we want it to go. And so that's
100% of the proceeds.
Of the proceeds,
yeah.
Correct. Of the profits. So
yeah.
And that's why I joined. That's why I was, so passionate about it.
So I think when most people think of hospitals, they don't think of charities. So, medical is super expensive. So why would a charity need to exist and to give money to a hospital? I don't quite understand.
So in the case of Phoenix Children's Hospital, and actually a lot of hospitals around the country that do research to sort of further medicine, they require outside donations. Not only to sort of help research, but also to help families. When a child is going through treatment, whatever treatment, cancer or otherwise, the whole family is essentially going through treatment because they have to be at the hospital the whole time. Their meals have to be sort of, subsidized, sometimes gas money. Sometimes these families can't afford that. So little things we don't think about, but the hospital really has to be mindful of. So the donations go large part to that.
Okay.
And
so then it sounds like Phoenix Children's Hospital is not just a hospital, that if someone has a child that is going through something terrible, whether it's cancer or some kind of sickness, if they go to Phoenix Children's Hospital, the hospital kind of takes care of everything.
Right. So obviously it's case dependent.
And that's at no cost to the family?
Yes. So they have to obviously, depending on what insurance they have. But yeah, essentially if a child comes from a family that really doesn't have much, they'll sort of, the nurses will come and, buy them lunch and buy them dinner because they're literally sitting in the room with them while the child is going through chemotherapy or, any sort of other treatment. So, to answer your question, Phoenix Children's Hospital, a lot of hospitals have foundations that are connected to it. So I should say that's not the hospital per se, but it's a foundation that raises funds that benefits the hospital.
Okay.
Ultimately. So, yeah, there some things that people don't really understand is that, again, if you or I were to go and get treatment somewhere, we'd check in, we'd have our appointment, we'd leave. But when you're 9 years old, 8 years old, and you're getting serious cancer treatment, you know, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, they're all coming with you because they're probably traveling from far away to come to the hospital to get treatment. So, you know, they can't afford a hotel room for $300 a night. You know, they have to stay at the hospital, and they have to be fed. So essentially, that's what makes children's hospitals in general, sort of in need of funds, is because you're treating a family when you're treating the child.
I had no idea.
Right.
So how does one get selected, or is there a selection process to go to Phoenix Children's Hospital if you have a sick kid, or do you just walk through the front door and like what does that look like?
Yeah, you just walk through the front door just like any other hospital. They have all different specialties, just like a normal hospital would have: rheumatology, neurosurgery, oncology for cancer patients, and just regular well checks. They have doctors there too. So, it spans a whole sort of gamut of medical specialties just in a pediatric setting. Surgery, neurology. I know PCH is a hub for epilepsy treatment here in town for kids with epilepsy. Mm-hmm. And it is a teaching hospital too. So, just a lot of great things happen there. And, that's part of the reason, actually one of the reasons that I joined is because we need to raise awareness for the, specifically in my case, for pediatric cancer. It only gets about 4% of all, federal research funds in the country.
Wow.
Because it's so untreatable. And in the past 20 years, there's only been 3 drugs that have been developed, specifically for pediatric, cancer cases. And there needs to be more.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I can't imagine that the 3 drugs that's provided would treat very many illnesses.
Nope.
So what would you then say that the main goal is for Children's Fight for Life?
I think raising awareness is one. I think putting things into perspective about, where these, if you're going to donate to a good cause, first of all, you're going to donate to cancer. Where is your money needed the most?
Sure.
My personal opinion is that it's needed in the youth of our society, because they have their whole lives ahead of them. Why not invest in that, in something where they had no, they didn't have time to have a bad lifestyle. They didn't have time to smoke and drink alcohol. They don't have time to make poor choices to develop a disease later in life that we have to treat. These are random gene mutations that cause these cancers. Sometimes it can be hereditary, but very rarely. A 9-month-old getting a glioblastoma on their brain, these are things you can't prevent. So why not, if you're going to write a check for $100 to a cancer charity, why not write it to an area that we A, need more funds, and B, it's where it's going to benefit the patient most.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I like about Phoenix Children's Hospital is, with so many charities, which there's a lot of good causes out there, but you constantly see commercials.
Yeah.
And, how are they paying for that advertisement and marketing? Mm-hmm. And it's probably a percentage of every dollar you donate goes into a large bucket for marketing.
Absolutely.
And you see, I'm not going to name names, but they give you T-shirts or the shopping bags, and it's and I've made several comments to Alyssa when we see these commercials. It's like, keep that. I don't want that junk.
No. Right.
Save the money and give it to the cause rather than spending it on useless marketing stuff. And so I would imagine, because I've never seen a commercial for Phoenix Children's Hospital, that a lot of what people donate actually goes directly to the hospital for stuff that's really in need and basically goes straight to the kids.
Right. And it's interesting you brought that up. We have an annual event. I may be jumping ahead here, but
No.
We have an annual event typically in the fall, like around November timeframe. November 16th is our event this year. We took a break last year because of personal sort of things that we had to take care of on the board with some of the members. But like you said, our previous events have been in the gala form, right? So what does that look like? You get dressed up, you come to a fancy hotel, you get a nice dinner, there's a silent auction, there's a couple speakers, sometimes, famous personalities come and host your event. And that's great. We raise good money, but that's not cheap.
No,
right?
It's not.
So then again, we reduce our profits. But what we're doing with our event this year is something completely drastic. We're sort of stripping down all that. We're getting rid of the sort of glitz and glamour, and we're really bringing it back down to, having a smaller group of people at a private residence, slightly higher ticket price, but people that care and that are actually interested in donating, as opposed to a bunch of people that just bought tickets just to come and wear a suit.
Sure.
Right.
And eat all the free food.
And eat all the free food.
Try and win prizes.
Exactly. So we are going to minimize that this year, and sort of bring it back to the way it was the first couple of years of the event. It was at someone's house, but we had people that were there really cared and really wanted to be there. And we're capping off the attendance at 150. Personally, I think it's a great direction. I think it's sort of like ridding everybody of the distractions.
Sure.
And really focusing on, why are you there?
What really matters.
We're going to have about 10 or 15 cancer patients from the hospital. The kids are going to be there. So you can talk to them, talk to them about their situation, about what they went through. It's remarkable when you talk to a child about, almost dying. Just think about how that makes you grow up fast, to know that when you're 6, 7 years old, someone has to talk to you that, look, tomorrow you may not be here. And it's hard enough dealing with that now. We're mid-30s or 50s or 60s, let alone someone that's 5 or 6 years old that had to go through this terrible thing. And it's remarkable that they have this they have hope, and they have,
kids are fighters.
Just they are always positive, regardless of what kind of crap they're going through. They're just always optimistic and positive. Things are going to work out, and if they don't make it, that's fine, but that's their mindset. And you're sitting there and you're looking at them like, oh, I can't even relate to that.
Yeah. I can't even imagine.
So, I think, that will help to sort of have the people, meet them and ask them questions. And they may be, 8 or 9 years old, but they talk like an adult.
Yeah.
Because they've had to grow up so fast. And, there is the sort of ugly truth. Last year, 80 kids died at Phoenix Children's Hospital from cancer that could not be treated. It's great to talk about the successes and the positives, but we also have to know what happens. It's not just,
it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
It's not exactly. And I think that's important to sort of raise awareness and say, look, a lot of kids don't make it. We can help this, So we look forward to the event. We still have a while to go, but a lot of planning to do. But it should be exciting.
Very cool, very cool. I think that there is something, to be said for getting rid of the glitz and the glamour and the distractions and just getting back to basics. They're the basics for a reason. Right. And I think that is true in probably, any number of things that you do in your life, is that the tried and true methods, the basics are what work. So that's really neat that you guys are getting back to that, and, capping off the number of people that can come and bringing in individuals that truly care and truly want to make a difference and aren't just there for fun.
Right. And it does, people do go for fun. I mean,
Sure.
I've been to charity events and it's a blast.
Absolutely.
I maybe donate a little bit of money, but a lot of people come and they don't really donate. They feel like, oh, I bought the ticket. That's it. That's all I need to do.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will sort of attract a different crowd.
Cool. Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to hear about the results that you guys have from doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you share us any stories and any inspirational stories or success stories of any of the kids that you can think of?
Well, so one of my dear friends from high school, her older sister has a son, Jack Morton, and Jack Morton's actually been around. So when I joined the charity about 10 years ago, Lori is his mom, so Lori Morton. I brought her on. She helped with the charity for a couple of years and did a fantastic job, helping us raise awareness. Jack's story is very remarkable. He was diagnosed, I believe, when he was, and don't quote me on any of this, but I believe when he was just still a baby. Wow. It was pretty aggressive, but he was a strong kid and he fought, and he's been in remission ever since. I think he's 6 or 7 years old now.
Wow, that's great.
And he's doing great. So, I mean, that's, just one of the cases. When I used to volunteer at the cancer center, it was just literally, hundreds of kids that come through there that I've interacted with that are just fighters. And, you'll see the kid getting treatment in the room, just smiling, playing on their game on their iPod, or and then you see the mom crying hysterically, and it's an interesting thing to see.
Sure.
Sort of heart-wrenching when you see the kid, the one that's in the most danger, is just happy and positive, and the mom is losing it, right? And that can be hard to see.
Sure.
It's heartbreaking.
I can't imagine being a parent and having, your child, the thing that you're supposed to protect,
right? And
you can't do a damn thing about it, and how helpless they probably feel.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the hardest thing about being there and seeing that. But yeah, there are hundreds of inspirational stories of people that have, come out and have been fine.
Well, I would imagine it's got to be super inspiring and kind of a reality check that the problems that, you and I face on a day-to-day aren't really problems when you really kind of think about it. And it probably puts everything into kind of, perspective.
Yeah. I know when I'm having a hard day, I think about it. I say, this isn't anything. I'm gainfully employed, got a nice house, I have a good life. This little stress I'm dealing with is really not a big deal.
Yeah.
It really does put things into perspective.
I mean, I drive past that hospital every single day on my way to my office.
Yeah.
And there's times, that I drive by and I don't even see the hospital or recognize it. But there are times when I drive by and I look and I just think to myself, that place is full of really sick children.
Yeah.
Whatever problems I'm dealing with just don't even compare. Mm-mm. And it's not fair.
No, I drive by the hospital all the time, and I'm going to go meet a friend for dinner or something, and I drive by the hospital and I look up and the lights, or you can see the lights on in the rooms, and you say, well, I wonder what they're going through right now.
Yeah.
I am going to have a good time with a friend, and that family can't do that, right? So just these little reminders that your problems aren't really problems.
No, they're not. Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about any awards that the hospital has received or recognition?
Yeah. So, U.S. News puts out a report every year about top hospitals and top hospitals that are have gained sort of recognition in certain specialties. I know neurology and cancer they've sort of been in the top 20.
For those of us that don't know, what's neurology?
So neurology is the treatment of the brain disorders,
okay,
and movement disorders like Parkinson's and things like that. So I think in a few specialties have actually been ranked top 20 in the country year over year. So
That's amazing.
And it's mainly due to the doctors and the staff and, the research that they do on that specialty. So,
do you know how the hospital goes about attracting that kind of top talent?
Not specifically. I think just being in a big city, Phoenix is a big city, and as you're very well aware of, it's growing rapidly.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Maricopa County for like the 5th year in a row, and don't quote me on that, is the fastest growing county in the country.
Right.
And Phoenix is the number 5 city in the country now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And, we're gaining a lot of things in the city, being just the very fact that we're a children's hospital in a metropolitan city this big attracts talent.
Yeah.
And for as good as Phoenix Children's Hospital is, they need more. They need more talent. They should be spearheading more research projects than they are. And I think we're getting there. We just need help from the community.
More funding,
more help, more sort of, awareness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just in general, Phoenix is a huge attraction for people wanting to practice medicine. And it's also a big employer for the city. So, and I'm sure, their benefits are great. So that helps attract really great talent too.
I'm sure.
And just the doctors that are there, the heads of the departments that are there, attracts talent from across the country. So I think sort of all those, put together.
Great. Do you know what kind of resources the hospital offers parents, even before their kids might end up being sick?
So they're big on education, and they're great about sort of, for lack of a better term, they, dumbing down the science to explain what the child is going through or might go through.
Sure.
At any time, if the family wants to go in there, they'll educate you on the disease of the child, give you your treatment options, and sort of paint a picture of what the path looks like. And their doors are wide open for that. And during treatment, if a child is, for example, going through cancer treatment, they have something called Camp Rainbow. Camp Rainbow is a camp up in northern Arizona that they bring the families and the kids to sort of give them a taste of what a normal sort of fun vacation's like.
Kind of a distraction.
Like a distraction, exactly. And of course, they have doctors and nurses all up there just in case, just to make sure everything's running smoothly.
Sure.
And so that's actually one year that we did our event, we gave a large amount of the proceeds to Camp Rainbow because at that point they were in need. So, there's a tons of resources for families that have kids that are patients there. Absolutely.
So if somebody wants to potentially get involved with, your charity or help support the Phoenix Children's Hospital, what's the best way to do that?
So they could email me directly, Cyrus Hosain @gmail.com.
Make sure that's in the show notes.
Yep, please do. And then also, if you can give me a second.
Yeah.
So you can email Christina Milan, who is the special events coordinator at the Phoenix Children's Hospital Foundation. Her email is cmilan@phoenixchildrens.com, and we can also put that in the notes later. Just to either if you want to donate to our charity or if you, and just anything, if you, know a vendor that wants to be a, drink or food sponsor.
Vendors are huge.
That's a big thing for us.
It's really hard to find. You'd be surprised at how hard it is. I'm active in a charity as well.
Yeah.
And I think one of the hardest things to find are people willing to donate goods and services to your events and those types of things.
Right.
Which you wouldn't think it would be as hard. I think it probably just comes down to that there are so many worthwhile charities out there that there's probably always people knocking on the door, asking for handouts, which, is tough.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. I think there's a lot of ways people can help if it's not a donation, if they want to help with it with the charity and be sort of an extra set of hands. We're always welcome that. If you know of any food or beverage, sponsors that are interested in getting involved, that's a way they can help. Just any way that they can think of, we won't turn it away. We always welcome. Our doors are always open.
So does the board have a certain number of board members so if somebody wants to get involved, but they don't necessarily have the funds to donate, can they donate their time?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do that all the time. We have people that maybe want to help with the event or with a certain, fundraising effort. If they want to help bring sponsors to the charity, absolutely. Or if they actually want to help just night of the event, we just need some extra hands to move tables and chairs, and absolutely.
Is that still going to be necessary if it's a smaller event at somebody's? It's got to be a big house if it's going to take 150 people.
Yeah, it's not. I'm sure it won't be as necessary night of that much because we have help. We usually do that stuff the night of. But if they want to come to the meetings and they want to sort of, if they have a great idea for how we can, get the word out and to raise some funds and raise awareness, we're always welcome. So our meetings are open. So
great.
If they want to attend, they can always, if you just contact me directly, we can, arrange it. But we're always open to new ideas. So, the term, this is how we've always done it, is toxic.
Yeah.
And we don't believe in that. So if there's anybody, young or old, that has an idea, we're open.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything about Phoenix Children's Hospital or the charity that we didn't touch on that you'd like to share?
I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again.
No, it's good to reiterate the important parts.
Yeah, look, if we're not all, millionaires and people with funds that we can just write a check. So $100, $200 is important, and it's a lot of money to some people.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in giving to a cause and you want to know that 100% of that money you give is going to actually go into effect, actually go to where you want it to go, then, I believe our charity has done a good job in preserving our integrity in that sense.
That's important. I mean, one of the reasons that I'm involved with the charity that I'm involved with, CASA Academy, is it's helping young children, kindergarten through third grade, and any of the money that they raise goes directly to the kids.
Right.
It's not going to inflated salaries. It's not going to marketing. It's not going to any of these things. It's going directly to the kids.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with you, the statement that you made earlier, that if we want to change our society for the better, we have to start with the youth, whether it's getting them better health-wise or improving their education. All of these things matter. And, it's not a trickle-down effect. It's a trickle-up effect.
Right.
And I think that the best way to improve, make America great again is starting with the youth of America and improving their lives and improving their education and their health and just everything that goes along with that. It's just incredibly important. And that's one of the reasons why I like what you're doing and what your charity stands for.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that people know that about Phoenix Children's Hospital.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of, it's easy to get lost. And look, PCH has, I think, I heard a figure, I don't know if this is true, but they have like 250 events a year that benefit the hospital, which is fantastic. But a lot of these sort of events detract from the actual cause and why people are there.
Sure.
And I think, like you said, coming back to basics is important. And that's why we all started this in the beginning. Every one of the board members, they're all, people with families, and, they're a little bit older than me. Not that much older. But
You're pretty old.
Yeah, I know.
We are old.
Yeah, thanks. I know we are. I'm trying to. I'm in denial still. But,
I know. Those mid-30s are gone, man. I know. Welcome to your late 30s.
Don't even. I don't even know why I came here, Danny. Yeah, you're right. The first, I remember the first couple of years I did this. It was a smaller event.
Yeah.
And we grew, which is great. We raised more and more money, which is great. But there comes a time where you're like, okay, well, most of these people that come to these things aren't donating. They're and of course, raising awareness is great. We wouldn't, we're thankful for the people that attended. But with all this sort of distraction in the world today, with all these charities that, I don't know, you heard about, they'll remain nameless, but the ones with the pink, the charity with the pink and the walks, they got in trouble because of these giant salaries that these presidents, CEOs were taking from the donations. Yeah. One could argue that, okay, well, without those resources, we wouldn't have been able to raise as much money in the first place. Okay, the argument could be made, but it's sort of a tough pill to swallow when, someone gave a $25 check to this cause and only, $5 or $8 went to the actual charity.
Right.
I don't know if they would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so I think just kind of stripping away all that stuff and really, getting back to good ethics.
Do you have any fear with the smaller event that you won't raise as much money? Or is that not even a consideration for you guys?
That's not a fear at all. I think, sure, we want to raise money and give a big check, but at what cost? We actually, honestly, if we make less than what we did before, that's okay because we're doing it the right way. And we have people there that care, It's like the analogy, if you have a Thanksgiving party with your family and you're inviting people, do you want to invite people you don't love? Do you want to invite people you love, sure, right? And people that bring value to your life, same thing, Hopefully, with this new strategy where we're going back to basics, we can grow from this. It's a totally new direction for us. So something we're trying. If it doesn't work, we have options.
Sure.
But I think it's a pretty darn good start to sort of start with the basic principles and then grow on that in the future years.
And remind me again, when is the event?
It is November. I can give you the exact date right now. November.
And if people are interested in donating or trying to get tickets?
Yeah, so we're going to have all that information later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still kind of early. November 16th, it's at 5:30 to 8 o'clock. And I believe that's a Saturday. And we'll sort of release all the information closer to the time.
I'm sure
probably
you guys
by summertime.
I'm sure you guys are active on social media,
Yep.
have a website.
Yep. So it'll be childrensfightforlife.com. The website's under construction now. So,
okay.
But when the information comes through, we will usually a few months ahead. So by summertime, we'll have everything up and running.
Can people elect to do reoccurring donations, like, $5 a month or,
Yeah, I think there's a way to do it through the foundation.
Okay.
But they'll have to contact the foundation directly to do that.
Gotcha.
When closer to the time, probably around July timeframe, we will have sort of a whole social media information on how to donate, where to buy tickets. If you're really interested, the tickets will be $250 a person. And we'll have a couple prizes that we're going to be giving away for silent auction. And then just a couple vendors there.
Okay.
And then of course the kids, and so it'll be a very intimate evening, and a great networking opportunity as well.
Awesome.
For people that attend.
Very cool. So I always like to kind of shift gears a little bit for the wrap up and do some Phoenix-based questions. And you've been a Phoenician for a very long time.
Yes.
And you grew up here like me.
Yep.
And so I'd like to pick your brain a little bit. And what is your favorite Phoenix restaurant?
Why do you do this to me, Danny?
There's a lot of good ones out there. I know. It's tough to choose.
I'm like you. I'm a huge foodie.
Yeah.
So.
That's why I'm asking.
So one of my, are you talking about favorite restaurant or favorite place I like to go on a regular basis? Those are different.
Well, name them both.
Okay.
We're not limited here.
Okay. All right. One of my favorite restaurants of all time is actually Cafe Monarch in Old Town.
Very good.
Christian Monarch is the owner.
If you went there all the time, I would
probably have to live in a cardboard box. I'd live in a cardboard box, or I'd live in my car.
Live in your car,
probably.
yeah.
I wouldn't afford to buy a house, right? So yeah, that's probably one of my favorite places.
It's really good.
And
of course, you said you're friends with
Christian Monarch. Yeah,
of course you do. Yeah,
yeah. Well,
you know everyone.
You know a lot of people too, man. If you grow up here, you naturally sort of know people.
You were a social networker and an influencer before that was even a thing.
I was an influencer before social media.
I know. That goes back to how old we are.
What I would do is I would be driving and I'd call people instead of like poking or liking, I would call you.
Who calls people?
I don't know. I don't.
Just text, man.
I think it's
just text me.
I think it's dumb. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite places.
So where do you go to on a regular basis that you really like?
I love Citizen Public House.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Old Town's a great spot.
Famous chopped salad.
Absolutely.
And good cocktails.
Yeah, Binkley's in Phoenix is great. That's another.
That's like so expensive too.
That's another high end place.
Yeah.
What else do I like? Yeah, there's just. Clever Koi is awesome.
Yeah, they have really good ramen.
They have great ramen. I went to a new place, opened by the same owner as Clever Koi, Fala Osteria down in South Scottsdale.
Never heard of it.
Okay, you know the Sky Song?
Yeah,
it's in Sky Song.
Oh,
the new sort of chain of strip of restaurants. Great spot.
All right. What is your favorite Phoenix neighborhood?
I'm biased. I would say Arcadia, because I live there.
Because you live there, but why do you live there? Because it was.
Because it's a lot of changes. It's happening.
Yeah.
A lot of great. What I love about Arcadia is that there are a lot of mom and pop businesses, meaning not chains, and I kind of like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say they're mom and pop from the traditional sense because Arcadia is super expensive, but they aren't chains. I will give you that.
They're businesses with maybe a couple locations.
Yes. Yeah.
And groups that sort of have a conceptual idea of what the business should look like.
And terrible parking.
Terrible parking.
I think the city of Phoenix, when you go to the city of Phoenix and say, I want to put a restaurant or a store in Arcadia, their first question is, how many parking spots are you going to have?
I agree.
And if it's more than 5, they'll probably turn you down.
Yeah, I think you may be right.
I think that's a requirement.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the I think because Arcadia, the other reason I like Arcadia maybe answers the parking question. It's a relatively walkable, bikeable neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I think they encourage
or electric scooters.
Electric scooters, which I own.
Boosted boards.
Yes.
Or, all those trendy millennial
Correct.
things.
I wouldn't say millennial. We're not millennials.
Birds. I bet there's bird scooters all over the place.
Yeah, well, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a very cozy neighborhood for families.
For sure.
I think you can walk a lot of places. You can walk to coffee, walk to the gym, bike. And so that's sort of what they encourage.
Yeah.
That's why I like the neighborhood. I also love Central Phoenix. I love North Central Phoenix. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's where your sister and I live. Not together in separate homes in the same general area.
What's going on? She just had a baby, man.
Not mine.
You sicko.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Phoenix hangout spot?
Hangout spot.
Like, I know that you go to the bars a lot.
Yeah.
And so what's your favorite spot to grab a drink?
I like, let's see.
Or coffee, whatever your favorite.
I like
hangout.
Lux downtown is great. I like the Porch in Arcadia mainly because I can pretty much walk there.
And it's new?
It's new. Yeah. Buck and Ryder is great for happy hour. They're great happy hour.
Yeah.
And if you like seafood, it's awesome. Undertow, which is the bar under Sip. That's a great place to go for a cocktail.
Very cool.
So those are kind of a couple places I like to go.
And finally, what's the best site to see in Arizona?
The best site?
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's a lot. We take it for granted, don't we? The fact that there's so many. I mean, so I was in Sedona a while ago. Sedona's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like.
And it's just like an hour north.
It's an hour north, hour and 20-minute drive. And you're in this, like.
Totally
heaven.
Different. Yeah.
And I think I was there for a wedding not too long ago, a couple months ago. And it was just breathtaking. I just was staring. I said, why don't I come here more often? I don't live far.
Yeah.
And, I told myself at that point I'd make a valiant effort to visit Sedona more often. I think there's not enough good things can be said about that place.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Cyrus, for taking the time to meet with me today, share information about Phoenix Children's Hospital and the charity that you're on the board for, and also some of your favorite Phoenix hangout spots.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me, Danny.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you next time.